Madam President, about a month ago, headline here in one of the publications that people pay attention to, Senate Republicans amp up pressure for an USMCA vote. USMCA, by the way, is an acronym on the new trade agreement between Mexico and Canada and the United States. I initially thought it was United States Marine Corps always, but that's not the case. And about 9 of us came to the floor and pointed out this was imperative, and that if we were going to have a new trade agreement to replace NAFTA, and we can get at least some price recovery and also make some progress with regards to Canada and Mexico, historically great trading partners, it might be a good thing to get USMCA passed. That's a month ago. And we were assured at that particular time by folks over in the House of Representatives, our colleagues over there, that they would do everything in their power to see if we couldn't get it done. It's not done. Still, it's not done. Still, farmers and ranchers and growers and everybody connected with agriculture, and for that matter, trade, is certainly, they've been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And times in farm country, as I think most people know, are pretty rough these days. And so at least passing USMCA would be something that everybody could agree to. So I rise today in support of the United States-Mexico-Canada agreement, again, 1 month later. It is time to move forward and pass this important legislation now. Now, that's my acronym from right away, yesterday. As chairman of the Senate Agriculture Committee, I want to talk about my producers in Kansas, but all producers throughout these United States and across the country. Time and time again, we have asked why there is a delay. And farmers tell me that time and time again, they wonder what on earth is going on back here. Well, that's obvious to everybody, with the I word being considered over in the House. But even with that, this is a situation where both the administration, House members, both sides of the aisle, if that were brought up to a vote, it would pass. More especially since our trade ambassador, Robert Lighthizer, has been working with my colleagues across the aisle over there in an effort to settle out labor issues and also environmental concerns. I've been down that road before. The Honorable Kika de la Garza, the late Kika de la Garza, but a wonderful man who was chairman of the House Agriculture Committee. I was the ranking member, then became the chairman. And we worked on NAFTA, writing that bill. So we would revert to that bill, but after months and months and months and months, and finally agreement between Canada, Mexico, and the United States, and we're ready to do this, it has to go to the House of Representatives. Mr. Lighthizer, Ambassador Lighthizer, Bob, used to work for Bob Dole, a good friend of mine, has been working with Democrats over time on these two issues, and it tells me that he's pretty close to a deal, except that we're not. Now, Ambassador Lighthizer, in behalf of the administration, is not going to send this deal, if you will, or this trade agreement, to the House unless that there is a clear intention that it will be brought up. Doesn't want to be held hostage. So the House has to move. I just want to continue to point out that USMCA, this new trade agreement, will not only increase market access for farmers and provide new opportunities for dairy, for poultry, for egg producers, for all the commodities that we talk about, wheat, corn, etc. But it will also address long-standing non-tariff barriers that will help our Kansas farmers export wheat to Canada. That used to be the case to Mexico. The Kansas hard red winter wheat, once harvested, will get on the Kansas City Railroad down to Mexico and sell the wheat to Mexico where they sorely needed it. It was a very good business change and agreement. That is pretty much dried up. Let me go back to 2017. That's probably too far. I'm thinking probably 2018 might be better, except we have had some problems with our entire trade policy. At that particular time, 110,000 Kansas jobs were supported by trade with Canada and Mexico. I'm sure in neighboring states it even equaled that, or it was much more than that. While many of those jobs are spread across all sectors of the economy, many are tied to the agriculture value chain. That's what we say from farmers, ranchers, and growers to the consumer. In total, Kansas exports $4 billion of products to Canada and Mexico each year, $800 million from agriculture alone. It is nearly impossible for me to overstate the importance of this trade deal to my home state of Kansas. We are not going to experience price recovery in farm country because of the supply-demand situation worldwide, and we're in a lot of trouble in farm country. The least we could do is consider USMCA, where we know we have the votes to pass it in both chambers, both in the House and the Senate. In fact, the call for Congress to get moving on this trade deal has united more people from different political and professional backgrounds on almost any other issue in recent memory, including organized labor. I recently started a web series, if you will, Trade Tuesday, to give a platform to the many constituents who have voiced their support to me. Pat, where on earth, Mr. Chairman, where on earth is the USMCA bill? We featured farmers and manufacturers from around Kansas, including Rich Feltz, great friend of mine, a farmer from southeast Kansas and the president of the Kansas Farm Bureau. And Rich hit the nail right on the head. He said, "We are an exporting state. We produce much more than we are ever going to consume in Kansas. And if we want to grow our economy, specifically our economy in the state, we have to export the excess commodity. I think it's easy to say we want trade, we don't want aid, and this is going to be a step in that direction if we can get this passed by Congress." I could not agree more with Rich on the importance of this trade deal to farmers and producers in Kansas. But it's just not only the agriculture industry interested in getting USMCA across the finish line. We've also featured Jason Cox, the president of Cox Machine Inc., a small aerospace company based in Wichita, Kansas, typical of the small business community in my state. He said recently, and I'm quoting here, "Trade is very important to our business, both on the raw material supply side as well as the selling side. This new trade agreement is important for us to help lower the cost of raw material that we buy and pass that savings along to our customers so we can get more work and produce more goods and also jobs." Look, my colleagues, it's been nearly a year since President Trump and the leaders of Mexico and Canada signed this new trade agreement, November the 30th, 2018. We are running out of time to get this deal done for folks like Rick and Jason, many other workers whose livelihoods depend upon trade. There are deadlines. We get past the deadline, we go back to the original NAFTA bill, which I look back in my public career was happy to work with Kika de la Garza, as I said, the former chairman of the House Ag Committee, in helping to write NAFTA at that particular time. And as a result, the ag sector has grown by leaps and bounds, and not only producing enough food and fiber and other markets to our consumers, but to a troubled and hungry world as well. We need this new trade agreement. I sincerely hope my friends in the House can quickly come to an agreement with the administration so that we can all do what's right by our constituents and get this bill passed this year. I would point out that the Ag Chairman today in the House is Colin Peterson. He's a veteran. He's a friend of mine. And Mike Conaway is the ranking member, same thing. They're for USMCA. It's a bipartisan thing in the Ag Committee over there. I would also give a shout out to Robert Lighthizer, who is our ambassador, who has been meeting constantly, day in, day out. Maybe he's not doing that quite now, but at least he was several days ago, trying to iron out any labor or environment portions of this trade agreement where we have some holdup. We're not going to go anywhere if we can continue to insist on these kind of requirements. Madam President, it's that You know, these are sovereign countries, these are our neighbors. For us to try to dictate labor standards and environmental standards for them is a little much, but I understand that's what that's what we have to do. I don't know here what more we can do. I can come to the floor every day. That would be probably not really appreciated by a lot of folks, but I can just say that we had 9 senators here before. I think we could get a mutual agreement to say, hey, let's get this thing done. Let's separate it out from all the goings-on that are happening in the House of Representatives today. I hope Speaker Pelosi, she knows about this. California depends on this big time. And as Speaker and representing the entire United States, I'm not trying to lecture her or point fingers at her, but she knows exactly what the situation is. If she would just send a signal to Ambassador Lighthizer, and we would send that trade pact up, and we could get a vote, I think it would pass overwhelming. And at least we would have something that we could claim that we're doing in behalf of our farmers, our ranchers, and our growers, and everybody that is supported by the agriculture industry. Madam President, I yield my time.